Hi everyone, it's Diane with Batik, and today is Fabric Friday, and our topic is Batik Rayon. It's been a while since we've talked about our rayon collection, and I'm sitting in front of our tower. We have this tower that has all of the hanger samples going all the way around, and the rolls of fabric sitting in front of each one of the hangers. And this is the blue group that I'm sitting in front of here today. I was going to take you through a little bit of a tour of all of the hanger samples, but I think it might get a little dizzy. So I'm going to, actually, for those of you who are new to us and haven't seen some of our prior YouTube videos, definitely jump into the rayon collection and you will see prior videos of all of the different fabric groupings by color. And it's kind of fun to go through each one of those groupings, whether it be pastel, the blues that we have, which is our largest collection, and the fall shades, the browns, the blacks, the reds, dazzle, all the different shades that we do have. And it is our largest collection of batik fabric that we produce. And it's actually wonderful to work with. So for those of you who have not worked with our batik rayon, I'm going to go through a little bit of information about it. And the rayon is 45 inches wide, and it is 100% rayon. So it's a woven fabric. It has no stretch, but it has a lot of drape, which is absolutely fantastic. It is very, very fluid. It is perfect for t-shirts, for jackets, for tunics, for skirts, anything that you really love to have that little extra drape for. And pants, tank tops. You'll see a lot of different projects that we do have on our website, different project kits that we call fashion duos. And of course, all the different fabrics in the Batik Rayon collection. It's simple care. We do recommend that you pre-wash your fabric. We want to get rid of any extra sizing and any of that little surface dyes and wax that might be left on the fabric after we receive it from our manufacturer. So we just want to get rid of any of that stuff. So pre-wash in your washing machine. We recommend a product called Synthropol, and I'll put a picture up here of the Synthropol. It comes in two different variations. It comes in a 4-ounce bottle that is intended for a top load machine, and then there's a second version for a front load machine, which is a low foam option for you. So we do have both options on our website. And you just use a little bit, like a teaspoon or two, for a couple of yards of fabric. So take a look at that on the bottle. Now on the bottle, it also says use hot water and all this other stuff. You don't need to do that. Lukewarm water, cool rinse, extra rinse if you prefer. And then I do toss it in my dryer. I'll shake it out, toss it in the dryer on a medium heat setting, and take it out right before it's completely dry. Kind of lay it out on a bed or a surface or hang it up nicely and let it finish drying before you cut out your fabric. So it's very simple. It just takes a few minutes. And and the one thing that I do recommend too is, I didn't do this the last time, and I put rayon in the washing machine along with some canvas, and the rayon, the cut edge of that rayon really does want to fray a little bit, and it likes to leave strings everywhere. So take a minute and either zigzag that cut edge or run it through your serger and just seal up that edge before you wash and dry your fabric. So there is a little bit of shrinkage. I will say that there is, I don't know, I would say 2% or so per yard. because it is a woven fabric, so it will shrink a little bit. So plan that when you're thinking about the yardage that you need for any one of your projects. So that's a little bit about our rayon. Now, what to use with our rayon? I recommend an 80-12 top stitch sharp needle. Your manufacturer of choice for your needles is completely up to you. We sell a couple of different manufacturers here. Rayon, not rayon, polyester or cotton thread, and 50 weight or 40 weight, your choice. I will say that when I use my serger, I like to put a little heavier thread in my loopers. So I'll put 40 weight in my upper and lower loopers, and then through my needles, I put a 50 weight. That's just something that I've always done. And so think about that also if you do use a serger. And interfacing, that's the other one that I really want to talk about always when I'm kind of giving some hints on using our batik fabric, whether it be the linen or the jersey or the rayon, is I really love a very lightweight, featherweight, fusible interfacing for the rayon. And I love the NV silk. Comes in both black and white, and it's fusible. And it just adds that little extra weight or little extra stiffness when you need it, whether it be on a collar or the facing or whatever it happens to be. And all of our fashion duos include that in their kits if it's used in the garment as well. So you'll also see that on our website. Okay, so that's all about our rayon. And today, what I want to share with you specifically, I'm going to answer a couple of customer questions, and one of them is specifically with our lake color. And in the rayon, I'm looking over at a table here where I've laid out of several of our motifs, just getting a better understanding of the size of the motifs, how they compare across the different motifs in this colorway, and what fabrics coordinate with the lake. And so I'm going to take you through that. I'm also going to show you a few of our rayon wraps that we have left. We were doing a holiday special, and we have a few left that I really want to focus on and show you how I made the kimono that I'm wearing out of one of these rayon wraps. And it was super easy, and I think you love making one for yourself. Or you can use rayon, I'm going to show you that as well, how to make it out of just simply 1.5 yards or 2 yards of rayon. So let's get started. Let's talk about the lake colorway and all the different motifs and the combinations that go with that particular fabric. These are the Batik Rayon fabrics in the shade of lake. And these are all over motifs. They aren't the borders. We do have 3 different border fabrics as well, but I'm just concentrating right now on the motifs themselves. And the fabric, as you can see, the lake really is a combination of blue, that really beautiful blue, teal, and then the motif is gold, kind of a tanny gold. And each one of these fabrics has those characteristics in them. I'm going to start over here on the right, and I'm actually going to lay out a little tape measure so you can kind of see the size of the motif. So here's 1 inch, okay? But this is the Phoenix, and Phoenix is an all over kind of swirly spiral design, and it happens to be one of your favorites, I have to say. And we probably have had this one the longest too. But it is just a beautiful scroll type motif in all the various golds. And the next is Gardenista Vine. Okay, and you can kind of see the difference, and Actually, I'm going to show you the third one as well. This is Violetta. And look at the differences, and I'm going to put this out here so you can kind of see the size of each one of the motifs. I don't know if that's helping or hurting, but the Violetta has kind of a lighter gold to it simply because the motif is not filled in. Where Gardenese Divine, the motif in that little vine, which measures, I don't know, that little guy is only like a ½ inch max, is really filled and saturated with the gold. So they read differently when you kind of look at each one of them. They do read different in their strengths of gold versus the background colors. I'm going to slide over here. So this is Violetta. The next is Lady May. Lady May is a directional fabric, even though it has enough movement and enough texture in it with that motif that you really probably wouldn't know that it is directional. But I'm going to slowly turn this camera so that you can see the motif. Do you see the flower? And it has like petals of a flower. And so that is the Lady May, and that's kind of why I say it's directional. So when you're laying out a pattern on this fabric or with this fabric, you would have to really pay attention to how you lay your pattern pieces out. And the next one is one of our most recent fabric motifs, and it's Valhalla. And very much like the Gardenese Divine, again, I'm going to put this out here so you can kind of see. These motifs are really tiny, but it is more saturated inside the actual motif. So it reads a stronger gold. And the last over here is animal skin. And that's quite obvious what it is. so that's our animal skin, and it has no vine, no anything like the rest of these do. But that again reads a lot stronger with the gold just because the motif is much more saturated. Okay, so animal skin, Valhalla, Lady May, Violetta, Gardenese Divine, and Phoenix. Now, let's talk a little bit about what coordinates with these. And I'm going to jump back to the middle here. I'm trying to move this very slowly. We, of course, have our hand-dyed lake, which, of course, goes with each one of these because it is the same family of colors. So that's our hand-dyed lake, and you've probably seen me wear this a lot. It's just a beautiful, beautiful hand-dyed combination of the blues and the turquoises. So that is a wonderful coordinate with the motif of any of these motif fabrics in the shade of lake. The next fabric I'm going to show you is another blue, and this is Sapphire. Okay, Sapphire has more of the blue shade to it, and the turquoise in it is a little bit lighter. So it's more of the blues that go with the background blue here in the lake itself. And I have one more color to share with you that's a really wonderful coordinate. Okay, let me move this one aside and I'll bring in the last coordinate, which is Coconut. And Coconut is a hand-dyed fabric that has a combination of golds going into kind of a almost a charcoaly shade, really, really light charcoaly shade. And it brings out the gold that's in each one of the motifs in each one of these rayons. And I just think it's a wonderful complement to any of the fabrics in the shade of lake. So hopefully I answered our friends, our customers' question about each of the different motifs, that we have that are all over. I'm not pulling out the ones that are border batiks. And then some of the coordinates that go with them. Now for something super fun. I made this simple kimono jacket out of one of our Batik Rayon Wraps. And I know you can't see my whole head here, but I'm trying to show the garment so that you can kind of see what this looks like. And the reason I'm sharing this is that it is very similar to the Easy Rolled Edge Kimono, the free downloaded pattern that you can get off our website. It's also very similar to the Anytime Topper by Amy Barrickman, but it is slightly different. And here's what I want to share with you. If you don't know about our wraps, we have had these shawls, wraps, pareos, whatever you want to call them, on our website for a couple of years now, and several of you have purchased them, or you've seen them when we were traveling to quilt shows and stuff. But they are batik rayon. It's the same base cloth, it's the same designs that we produce, and it's finished. So this is your selvage edge running all the way along the fabric. And then it has a border and tassels to finish off each edge. It measures 72 inches long by 45 inches wide. So essentially it's 2 yards of fabric when you're thinking about running yardage off of a roll of fabric. And what I really wanted to do was create a kimono out of it. And that's what I did. And I wanted to make it easier than measuring and tearing your sleeves and tearing the front pieces and sewing them on, which is the technique used for the Easy Rolled Edge kimono. Okay, so for those of you who have read that pattern or have actually made one of those, this will be simple. But the reason I wanted to change it also is I wanted to give it a little bit more shape around the neckline. And I'll show you an image of everything here when I get done describing this. But it has like a round neck. And I like how the shape of it allows the kimono to cross in the front and still give me enough shape all the way around the kimono. I did, and you wouldn't have to do this, I almost didn't, but I did cut off the tassels. I just wanted it to be a clean cut jacket, and so I ended up cutting off the tassels, which is probably like removing the do not remove on your pillow, something you're not supposed to do. But anyway, I did. So you wouldn't have to do this. But let me go ahead and show you how I made this kimono, and I'll hopefully get a downloadable pattern ready for you. So if it's not downloadable here when I finish this, check back. It'll be on our website, and it'll be back on this YouTube video when I get it done. But it's super, super simple. So let's go make one of these kimonos. I selected our early autumn shade of one of our Batik Rayon shawls. And I have it on our table here, and we're going to do a couple things. First, we need to know some measurements. And I brought a tape measure, and so hopefully in the pattern I'll have a place for you to write down these measurements. But we're going to need to know your distance from your collarbone down to where you want the kimono to cross. And I just did it right on my kind of high bust area, which is 12 inches. Okay, so record 12 inches. I also need to know the half my neck, basically. So from shoulder blade to shoulder blade, what is that measurement? and mine is 10 inches, okay? We'll get to the next measurements in a minute, but let me show you what to do with these two measurements first. Lay out your shawl so that the tassels are touching. And if you can, either press this fold, which is really in essence your shoulder, press that or mark that with a pin. And I'm just going to mark it with a pin here, going across, so that I always know where that half or shoulder will be, okay? Now, I also need to measure or fold the fabric from right to left so that I know the center opening of my kimono. Now, I've already torn this, so you're probably seeing this already torn, but this is going to be folded. Take your scissor and snip, and then tear this up to the fold. That's your front opening. Once that is done, and don't feel like you can't tear fabric, because you should be really tearing the rayon when you're working with something this simple. And that is what we do with the easy rolled edge kimono as well. We simply tear the fabric, and then we're going to use our serger to finish the edges. So now what I want to do is turn this, because I need to add my curved collar markings. So I'm going to turn this, and can you see the opening there? There's that opening. And I'm going to take my tape measure, and I'm going to mark 2 placements. One is from my shoulder down, that was 12 inches. So from this fold, I'm going to mark down 12 inches and use either a fabric pencil to mark that edge right along that opening, or a pin, but right now I have a fabric pencil here. And then 10 inches, we want to center our neck on the opening here. So half of 10 is 5, and I'm going to set the 5 right on this slit, and then I'm going to, actually I'm not going to use a pencil this time, I'm going to use a pin. And I'm going to mark my 5 inches right over here, only pinning through that first layer. And then here's the 10 right here. That will be the angle of the opening for my neck. So I'm going to take my 12 inches down, and I'm going to draw a line. This is all the more precise I was, from there up to my pin and around. Same thing on the other side. Use your favorite fabric pencil, and that is going to be my opening. Now, I'm going to pull the front down just a little bit to continue the curve towards the back of the garment, okay? So just keep making that curve, drawing on your fabric, and that will be the opening for your kimono. So now I'm going to go to the serger, and I'm going to serge up, around, and down with my knife engaged using a 3-thread rolled hem. Okay, we're back from serging the front up and the curve. Can you kind of see? I might be a little too far away, but that is the shape of the neck area. And I have positioned the fabric here right sides together so that we have our fold along the shoulder again. The tassels are touching and the center is touching. I'm basically trying to get this as flat as possible so that I can make the shapes for my sleeve. The next thing we want to do, by the way, this is what came out of cutting with the knife engaged on the serger. So I just followed my tracings and then really, really simple right along the edges all the way down the front of that opening. So that's basically what you're going to have left over so far. Okay, what we need to do now is decide on the sleeve fullness and your body fullness for the kimono. Okay, so I believe that I had an opening of 12 inches. Now we're going to do this again, but I'm going to mark with pins this time because I'm going to use my scissor to cut this out. This is not precise, as you probably can tell, but it is just a simple way to make this kimono. So I'm going to take and measure from the fold 12 inches down, and I'm going to pin. Okay, just to create kind of a line here. Okay. Just 2 pins going across. I'll do the same thing on the other side. And I will tell you that I have this slight opening here where the seam doesn't go all the way to the end. What I'm going to do on this particular kimono to show you here, just for ease, is I'm actually going to start sewing all the way over and go all the way down instead of leaving this opening. Because if you want to leave this opening, you have to do a little pre-planning. You'll have to serge with your rolled edge both openings separately and then go to your sewing machine to stitch up your side seam, leaving as much of an opening here or a slit as you want on both the sleeve and the hem. Okay, I'm not going to do that here because I'm just going to create one seam from the edge of my sleeve opening to the hem of the kimono. Okay, so 12 inches there. Let's go make our sleeve opening here. 12 inches here. Now, I know that I measured around me and it was 39 inches right below where my sleeves are, okay? And half of that is 18-ish or 19-ish. So I'm going to center along the pins those 19 inches or so. And I'm actually going to make it a little bit bigger than that. I think I'm going to make it 22 and center that. That will be the start on either side of that 22 for my tapering of the sleeve down to the hem. I'm going to make a curve. So now I'm going to take a pin and go the other direction to show where I'm headed here. Okay, 22 inches. And I'm going to go down. Now, I'm going to measure here just to make sure I'm equal. 12 and 11. I am not equal. So we're going to make this 11 here. We're going to move this over just a little bit to make sure that I'm even. So there's my 11. Okay. And I took the tapering down to where the border connects itself at the bottom. So if I'm going to pull this thing forward so that you could see, here, let me pull this up. You see where the border is? That's where I stopped sewing so that I could have a slit opening at the border. And even though the stamps on these are not precise because they're handmade, I am still going to try to connect the lines on this border so that they meet where I finish stitching. So I'm going to put a pin down there. And as well. And that is where I'm going to finish. So I simply take, you're going to laugh at me, but I simply take, and I'm going to cut in here, and then I'm going to take my marking pencil and I'm going to draw at an angle down to that point right there. And take some pins along that line, because this is what I'm going to stitch with the serger. Okay. So I'm going to take my scissor and I'm going to cut across along this line. And then go down with a curve, because I'm going to go around this with a curve. Following this line. Okay. Now I'm going to take this as my guide, match it up over here. And the two sides will be relatively the same. I'm going to cut this out, and then I'm going to jump to the serger and serge these together with, of course, the right sides together. And then we're going to put this on. Now, I'm going to leave the tassels on this one. I'm not going to cut those off, but if you want a shorter kimono, definitely you can adjust the hem any way you would like. But I'm going to leave the tassels on this one. Okay, we're going to cut this one. Let me move this out of the way. And then once you're at the serger, you can shape that curve in the underarm area right there. Now I bet you're, there we go. So do you see how this now looks like the shape of a kimono here? Because we're cutting this at an angle, the front naturally crosses once you put this on. And that's the piece that I really wanted to have from the kimono, was a nice crossover, so that if I was chilled or whatever, or just didn't want to have the jacket open, that it looked natural, and it lays wonderfully. So I'll be right back and I'll show you the finished kimono. Okay, here you go. See how simple is this? And it actually matches my turtleneck. I love it. So it has the shape of a kimono, just the side seams and the arm. And it has a really nice shape up here, which I really like, and probably I like better than the straight cut and sew of the easy rolled edge kimono top. And the sides of this, actually, let me see if I can't step back further. So now I have the tassels, and here's the shape, and it just naturally kind of crosses itself because the sides of the kimono lay flat. So my new kimono, I like it. Okay, now the other thing is, just let me show, if you really want to try one of these projects, you can start with one of our kimonos, and the kimonos, or start with one of our rayon wraps. We have 4 different shades left in inventory. We have more of the early autumn, and we have the dark brown that I was wearing earlier. We also have this beautiful rainbow. I love the Phoenix rainbow shades. And then also we have Dazzle, the Phoenix Dazzle shade as well. And it is just a gorgeous shade. So all of these are on sale, and we're just going to keep them on sale until they're all gone. So definitely try that. Or you can use whatever length you would like to make. So instead of it being so long, like this one now goes below my knees, if you want it to be shorter, just think about the length you want, multiply that by 2, and you'll get the yardage you need from any 45-inch wide fabric, for the rayon anyway. And you can make it the same way. If you want your sleeves to be longer, then we'll have to come up with something else, because the width of the fabric, which is 45 inches, really determines the length of your sleeve using this method, just the simple method of making a kimono jacket. Now, if you were going to try this out of our jersey knit, that's 72 inches wide. So you can definitely get a long sleeve and make that as long as you want, and you'll have just a simple robe. That's how simple it is. Or also the linen. Our linen is 54 inches wide as well, so you'll get a much longer sleeve. So that was just a fun project that I wanted to share with you. And while we were talking about some of our batik rayon. So a couple things as a reminder, we are running a sale, like I said, on our Batik Rayon Wraps. We also have a few 2-yard rayon roll-ups left over, and those are on sale. You'll see the link on our homepage of our website. And again, that's 2 yards, so 72 inches by 45. So if one of those catches your eye, definitely grab one of those. And then we have been adding, since we've been doing inventory and different things, we've been looking for different ideas to put things in our sales section or our clearance section. So look at that, because that is going to be updated probably daily here until we get everything wrapped up for inventory and get everything put away. So, and enjoy also until next Tuesday. We are running a sale on our entire Batik Rayon collection. So enjoy that little savings for you as well. So I hope you're having a wonderful Friday. I hope you enjoy a wonderful weekend. And next, I was supposed to be doing kind of an intro on some of the By Annie bags with our canvas. So I'm going to get back to that project, and we'll share that next week. So have a wonderful weekend, and keep sewing, smiling, and sharing.